Welcome to the Embrace Her Legacy podcast, the #1 personal development classroom for millennial women, hosted by Embrace Her Legacy founder and CEO, Maria I. Melendez. Ladies, get ready to evoke your feminine confidence and be inspired to master your relationship with yourself so you can fabulously live your legacy. If you enjoy this podcast, please make sure to subscribe. Don't forget to visit us at embraceherlegacy.com, where you can support our mission by making a donation of any amount or sign up to become part of our community of volunteers and supporters, the Embrace Her Legacy Collective. Our vision is for every woman and every girl to defeat her inner saboteur, master her relationship with self, and live out her legacy unapologetically. Enjoy the podcast.
Hey, what's up, everyone? And it's the season premiere. Welcome back to the Embrace Her Legacy podcast. This is indeed your #1 personal development classroom for millennial women of color. And I'm excited because it is fall 2021. Y'all haven't heard us in a couple of months because we've been quiet, but we coming out the gate strong. And today I'm going to be talking about manifesting with my girl, my mentee, my former intern, executive assistant of the year, of the decade. Her name is Amber Paris. I miss you, Amber, just so you know. Just so you know.
I miss you.
So today we're going to be talking about manifesting my way. What works for them may not work for you. And the first person I wanted to talk to, and the only person I really wanted to talk to, was Amber. Amber just released a manifestation journal and other things that we'll get to in a second. But welcome back, everybody. So everyone chill out, relax, and let's talk about some manifestation. But first, I gotta introduce my girl, Amber Paris. You know, Amber is a storyteller. She is a lifelong learner, and she's also the wonderful producer behind a lot of our Embrace Her Legacy videos. So when y'all see all our videos dropping, she's doing it. That's her. I'm so proud of her and her journey. I've known her for a while now. For those of you who don't know, she went to an Embrace Her Legacy workshop, then became part of the Embrace Her Legacy team. She was part of my magical team from 2019 to 2020. So me and her have a real special bond and relationship. But I'm gonna let her introduce herself and tell her about herself, and then we'll jump right into some questions about manifestation. So Amber, introduce yourself, tell the people who you are, where you are, what you do, all that jazz.
I think, yeah, you said it perfectly. I am a storyteller and a lifelong learner. So hello, everyone. I am Amber Paris. Yes, I am the mentee of the OG mentor. So I am honored to say that. Yeah, it's so funny. I was just writing a bio actually for my website relaunch, and I was writing in my bio, I hate bios. I really hate about me pages because I never know what to say, because I do so many different things, because I'm in the stage of my life of like figuring that out. What do I want to do and who do I want to be? And introducing myself with like the things that I do feels kind of weird sometimes. So I never say like, oh, I'm a student. Like those things are fun. But no, what I am and who I am is a storyteller and a lifelong learner, no matter what I'm doing, no matter what my role is or what, task I have for the season. So that's what I really love to do. But other than that, I am an artist also. So I'm a photographer. I'm also getting into dancing and writing and video and painting. So really at this point, trying to figure out the different ways to express whatever emotion needs to be expressed, and in that, storytelling. And right now I'm living in Amsterdam, the Netherlands. So I'm about 6 hours ahead of you guys right now. And it's been great. I'm here earning my master's in communications entertainment. And it has been such an amazing semester. Like I said, I love learning. I don't always like, institutions and going to school, but I love when I'm like in the element of my passion. And so that's where I am now. And it feels super good.
I am beyond proud of you. Amber is in Amsterdam. And it's funny because that's how we originally connected.
Yes.
Like 2 years ago, back in 2019. Amber, let me tell y'all a quick story about Miss Amber. And she just hit me in my DM one day. She was like, "Are you looking for an intern for the summer?" And that stood out. That's one of the things those are one of those moments that stood out. There are certain young women who say, "Oh, I want to, be, and I want to intern, or I want you to be," but you took a different route. You were in my DM. So there is power in sliding in someone's DM professionally.
It was a risk. But that was the year that I said, I don't really want to be a school teacher. I want to do something different. I don't know what it is though. And because I love your program, I look up to you. I'm like, this would be fun. And everything that we did together really kicked off this career shift for me, and this entire shift of reconsidering what am I really doing with my life. So that whole year was such a turning point.
2019, wasn't it nice?
It was a great year.
Wasn't it a good old time? Good old time. Oh my gosh. And little did we know that the world was going to literally change. Oh my gosh. Amber, remember you were we did the TED Talk together, and
like 2 weeks before everything.
Weeks. It was February 29th, 2020. And we were just like, and little did we know 2 weeks later that the entire world would change. And and it made room. I think one of the silver linings about the pandemic is like it kind of reorganized where not only our priorities were, but where we should be. And I think for you, if there were no pandemic, maybe you would still be in the States at a job as a teacher, upset, frustrated, and hated it, but you listened to your gut. And I'm proud of you for following that unction, getting out and going and doing your thing. So me as your mentor, I am proud of you, just so you know that. So Amber and I might have a quick little anecdotes going back and forth. Y'all gonna have to excuse us because
but they'll love it.
They'll love it because it's like we really do know each other. So let's talk about manifestation and really my inspiration behind this episode and why I wanted to come out with this episode first. There's manifestation is obviously the hot topic, right? It's everywhere. It's all over social. Everybody's talking about it. But I noticed that sometimes for me personally, I would follow some people on social and they were like, and I did this and I did that and I jumped 3 times, whatever it was that they did. And I would then go and try to follow that. And it wouldn't work for me, right? And I noticed that me and my experience with manifestation were different from others, right? And I know that other people can be frustrated too. I know our listeners are not the only one that you see someone else say whatever it is that they did and you follow that because you want those same results and you don't get those results for whatever reasons. And I really sat and thought with myself one day, like a couple months ago, and I said, listen, it varies. What works for someone else may not work for you. And I think like the manifestation itself, it's very it's dynamic and it's individualized to each person, like what works for you, because I believe God is teaching he has a different, I guess, plan, of course, for every one of us, and the way you manifest is going to be according to his plan for your life. And that's why I just wanted to talk about manifestation and just have an open dialogue about manifestation and our individual experience with manifestation, and hopefully share some helpful insight with the audience. So let's start with like the definition of manifestation. So according to dictionary.com, it's to prove, put beyond doubt or question. Vocabulary.com, I like their definition, says a manifestation is the public display of emotion or feeling or something theoretical made real. Merriam-Webster says to make evident or certain by showing or displaying. So I want to know, Amber, let's start. What does manifestation mean to you and what does it look like for you?
I really love the way that first one was stated, without doubt. Like that was real. Like, ooh. And I think that's the toughest part about manifestation, right? Without doubt. Oof. Yeah, I don't have a fancy definition like that. Mine was really, my understanding of manifestation is an idea that you have manifesting or turning into your reality, and that is different depending on what it is that you're manifesting. So it could be something tangible, or it could be opportunities, or it could be people, friends, energy, but all of it is energy, even if it is a tangible thing. In essence, it is an energy that you have to step into. And so that's how I understand manifestation also, is that, which is different from how I was introduced to it. I think the law of attraction and manifestation are simultaneously like discussed in the same topic, and sometimes they overlap. But I distinguish them as different things only because my understanding of the law of attraction is that just that you think of something consistently over time, or you believe in it so much and then it kind of appears. And I think that's also why I didn't believe in it in the beginning, because I'm like, that it sounds really like not practical, especially if you're in an insecure state. How can you believe in something? I don't get that. But then my mindset shift about manifestation, and this is when it started to work for me, when I realized it was more than thinking, sitting, and waiting. It actually required my participation, and it required me to step into the energy of what it is I wanted, as if it was already here. So it was, I think that's where that undoubted, belief comes in, where you are feeling in some way that you already have or are experiencing what it is that you want. And so because it is that abstract, the way you practice it is so unique to you and is so different depending on the thing you're trying to attain.
Great. I love that. I love how you really talked about the law of attraction, which is something that was introduced to me, gosh, like in 2007, 2008. We'll get into that and how I definitely embraced the power of the mind, and we'll talk about that in a second. But one thing for me with manifestation, and yeah, these are really jazzy definitions, and I don't have a jazzy definition. For me, it's really like believing. It's like what you believe in your, and what you see in your mind and what you believe in your heart makes itself its reality, whatever that looks like you said. It could be opportunity, it could be something physical, tangible, a house, a car, it could be a relationship, whatever it is. It's really believing. And I believe in faith, right? And faith to me, and I guess in biblical terms, right, because that's what I follow. And I love that definition because it says faith is the confident assurance of things you cannot see. And it is so easy to I have blonde hair and red lipstick right now. I don't need to manifest that, right? I can see my blonde hair and red lipstick and white jacket. But I think that the thing about manifestation and all these things is like you normally cannot see it. That's where the battle is. It's like, child, I'm believing for something incredible, and everything around me is telling me no, it's not incredible. So that's the hurdle with manifest for me. And that's how it's different, because it's something that you actually have to exercise the power of belief beyond doubt or question that it's going to happen. So that's pretty much what it is to me. So let's talk about manifestation and talk about like what are some manifestations or manifestation methods that have worked for you, or if you even want to take a step further and say like how did you kind of like, I want to say, grow in your manifestation muscles, if that's better.
Oh, I like that, manifestation muscles. That's really nice. First of all, I love that you talk about faith, because I try to I'm trying to figure out a way to communicate that to other people without making it seem like I'm asking them to subscribe to a religious practice, because you think faith and immediately you think, oh, okay, some category of a practice, but it's faith in yourself first and foremost, right? That you have this power already existing within you, right? And then it's faith in whatever that makes sense to you, but it does require faith, because exactly, there's so many things around you that will tell you otherwise. And there's a reason you're trying to manifest this, because you don't have something yet. So it requires that in some way blind faith, depending on how large the leap is. So to answer your question about practices or methods, I definitely learned a lot in the past year of what the different manifestation methods are, and then to the topic today, which ones worked for me and which ones didn't. And I'll say first, the one that did not work for me and hasn't for a long time is actually vision boards. It's really popular, and it has been popular for a long time. And of course I did them a lot because it was also really fun. Like the crafty part of it, the artist in me was like, this is so cool. But I always, only in hindsight, I recognize I never actually enjoyed it afterwards. It was fun putting it together, but then hanging it up on my wall, whatever, it just seemed like this thing on my wall full of like a collage. Like it didn't make sense. I could not connect to the images. And I tried different things. Like, let me put words instead of images, or let me try different images. Let me try more realistic images. But I recognized that I couldn't connect to it because they were images of other people. And even if they were things, they weren't mine. Like I could not believe that that was mine. And that was the part of manifestation that you need, that belief that it's yours. So using these photos from like magazines or printing, I could not connect with them. It works for maybe like a reminder, maybe motivation, but not for manifestation. And so now, instead of using a vision board, I use vision statements, because I'm a writer, I'm a storyteller. And I love to journal. And so it made so much more sense for me to write out the vision I have for my life than trying to like piece it together in a collage. And it works for a lot of people. It just didn't work for me. So writing my vision, it feels so good because I'm telling a story about my life as if it already happened. And then in essence, I'm also scripting, and scripting is another practice of manifestation. So the act of writing it out is, turning it into reality in and of itself too. So, and then with that, with whatever I write in the statement, if I wanted to, I could also transfer that into a vision board. But again, it's just the images don't connect for me because they're not of me. So it was really hard to see that.
Wow, interesting. And I love that you said that, because you said something that stuck out. You said it was fun to do. And I think that with vision boards, because one of my questions listings are what experiences that you have using a vision board. So let's jump right in there. I think that sometimes we don't understand what a vision board really is, right? So we get into the arts and crafty stuff. Girl, it's October, right? January, I guarantee I'm gonna see at least 10 vision board parties on social media, right? It's the top of the year, everyone's doing vision board parties. But I feel like the vision board is the last step after you've done the work on the inside. Because you can't be talking about, oh, I'm gonna put a vision board and I'm gonna have I don't know, I'm going to be in a happy, healthy, healed relationship, and you haven't done the work on the inside, right? So sometimes it's like your vision board is like, girl, it's going to just stay up on that. It's just something pretty to do. And I do believe the power of putting a vision before you. And you also said something that key that I resonated with, like, it wasn't me on those pictures. So what I did with my vision boards is I started to cut out pictures of me and put me on the picture on the vision board so I can see it. But I love how you said, because for me, I have things on my vision boards that have manifested themselves, but didn't manifest that year or that time, but I do have things. So I do believe in the power of vision, but I love how you said writing things down. That's what worked for you. And then you
Mhm.
also mentioned scripting. So I never heard of that, and I'm sure somebody else never heard of that. So let's talk about what that is, a little bit about what that method is.
Yeah, so scripting is really like by definition, like it's, like scripts, like the handwriting, I guess is what it
Mhm.
comes from, but it it is the idea that writing it down gives power to the words on the paper. And there's science behind, I don't always trust science,
Mhm.
but but even, take spirituality out of the equation, there's even, science that explains that people who write things down, their goals down specifically, they're 42% more likely to achieve their goals. So that's just on a matter of achieving something. So imagine if you're talking about in terms of energy, right? Writing the physical, and I'm not like typing on your phone, but the physical act of writing things out, there's so much energy that's transferred between your hand, that pen, and on that paper. And even if, you don't want to believe in these like, mystical, energetic ideas, consider how it feels for you when you actually take an idea and you write it down, how much you actually believe in that idea a lot more than when it was in your head, because now it's become real, right? Now you can read it, and when you read it, it does something else to um your belief that this thing in your life can actually happen. It's really hard to explain because it's so abstract, and I haven't found the right word to really describe how it's powerful. But it's worked for me. Even if it doesn't work in terms of like you get A plus B equals C,
Mhm.
it can help with, how do you call it? Supporting the other methods that you're doing. So let's say you're using other methods. Scripting is a way for you to add that belief in your manifestation when you're feeling insecure about it, or when you're feeling like negative ideas are coming back. Writing it down again and again helps with keeping you on in that positive energy and in that idea.
I love this because one of the sessions that I teach on is on setting goals. And it's not like you said, I said for those people who maybe have a hard time believing in like the spirituality of it all, or
Mhm.
certain faith walk, all I hear everything in biblical terms, right? So when you
Mhm.
were writing down, I was like, there's a scripture that says write the vision and make it plain. There's power in writing things down.
Mhm.
But it's been studied, like there have been Harvard studies, and I'm actually going to pull up one Harvard studies that talk about the power of just writing down your goals, which I think is super, super important. So there was this Harvard study that I read about that said that did a study on graduate students. 3% had goals and plans written down. 13% had some goals, but they weren't written down, and 84% had no goals. 10 years later, that same class that was interviewed again, and the 3% that had the same class were interviewed again, and the 3% that had the goals written down were earning 20 times more
Hmm.
than the rest of the class combined. Written down goals have been proven to, you are 5 times more likely to achieve your goals if you write them down. And I'm a big student of Jim Rohn, who is he's passed away, he's no longer with us, but he is a personal development guru. And
Mhm.
when I first heard about personal development, I started doing like the work, I would say back in like 2008. I was introduced to that, the power of writing down your vision. Your vision, when you write it down, it's the first physical manifestation of you seeing it. Like you said, let's say something even like, I'm gonna cut my hair and dye it red. And you write it down. It's like you wrote it down. So now you can actually visualize it. You can actually see it, right? So I'm not gonna talk about writing without bringing up the beauty of your manifestation journal that you have just recently put together. And then I do want you to let the people know where they can get it, but I want you to talk about the importance of why. why you did the manifestation journal and what was the inspiration behind it, and why was it so important for you to release this with the world?
For sure. Before I talk about the book, I just want to point out something about writing first, that writing about it is step one, but step two is going back and reading what you wrote. Because I also found that I would write a lot, but I would also forget because life happens. A lot of events happen throughout the week. And going back and reading it not only keeps you on track and keeps motivated when self-doubt happens, but also it feels so good when you read something and you're like, oh my gosh, that actually happened. And in the midst of me preparing this book, I was reading my old journals, and I wrote on August 22nd, which was actually the anniversary of my pre-launch party, and I didn't realize that link. I wrote in my journal, I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I'm going to get to Amsterdam. I'm going to be healthy. I'm going to get accepted into the University of Amsterdam. The day that, at the point that I wrote this, I wrote this on July, not in August. At the point that I wrote this statement, I had no money. I had no idea how I was going to get into Europe because we had the restrictions. I wasn't even close to filling out any application for the UVA. I was like 500 steps behind even getting an application for the UVA. Talk about blind faith. I had no idea what the future was going to hold, but I was determined to make this happen. To read that a year later, standing in my apartment in Amsterdam, makes me want to cry, because I'm just like, this really happened. That is wild. So just one thing, write it down, but go back and read them, because you will amaze yourself, and that's going to keep you moving forward even more. You're like, dang, I did this. I'm going to do this again.
Can I just jump in there?
Yeah.
We're talking about like what worked. And so let me tell you, so first, I love that you said that, because that's actually, and let me tell y'all, if y'all are interested, I want you to go download my free class on Savage Goal Slaying. It's on embraceherlegacy.com, and I talk about this, writing things down and how to really set your goals in a way that you're actually going to achieve them. And one of the strategies is to revisit your goals. Write down your goals, but you need to be looking at them, I say every day, but at least once a week, to one, keep you motivated, and two, when you say, oh my God, I did that. So earlier this year, I picked up my journal from 2007, 2008. I wrote down in that journal things that I said, oh my God, I said, I cannot, I teared. I said, I'm going to be an author. I'm going to be a motivational speaker. I'm going to have an organization that works with women. Like, I saw that and I said, holy smokes. Like, when I saw that earlier this year, I said, yo, I really did that. Like, it's something when you write it down, and then the power of just belief. So I remember when I was interning at Atlantic Records, and some people know this story, when I was interning at Atlantic, and for those of you who are in media entertainment, those are jobs that are not easy to get. And I remember being introduced to this power of believing faith. There was this book called The 21. My ex-boyfriend, I remember he gave me this book called The 21. No, not 21. It was The Laws of Thinking. And then talk about the power of belief and writing, all this jazz. And I didn't know, no one was teaching me about this. So I remember getting that internship, and I had no reason to believe that I would work there. But I said it to myself. I didn't write it down. I just believed to myself. I said it to myself, I'm going to work here. And I just said it and believed it and let it go. And for me, that has been my most powerful manifestations method. I say it, I believe it, I let it go. I'm not trying to make it happen. And that's where we get caught with manifestation. When you're in that forcing it, and you're not restful, and you're not at ease, you're not letting it go. God is like, sis, You tying up my hands, okay? You're worried, you trying to do it. Let me go. Let me try to manifest it. Let me say it again. Let me say it 10 times. Let me look it in the mirror. It's like, no, I said that. And that was in, I want to say maybe like August 2007. Fast forward, I'm interning, I'm doing my thing. I'm not going to get into specifics for lack of time, but the job literally fell in my lap for my birthday, April 2008. Like, the job was just offered to me. I just showed up. I did the work as a bomb intern. I told all them other interns, well, to myself, I said, y'all can't see me. I'm gonna get a job in here. Like, I just focused on being my best self and believing that I would. And I had no reason to, Amber. Like, when I got that job offer, I had quit my other job. I was like bartending. I quit that so I could focus more hours on interning. It was weeks before my college graduation, no job, no opportunity. And the job was literally, it was waiting for me. My bosses at the time, I told them, I said, listen, well, I still got to finish school. I still got another month to go. They said, we'll wait for you. And I graduated on May 18th and walked and reported to my job May 19th. And we were in the middle of a recession. You understand? Like, talk about impossible. This was not something that was like, oh, everyone's just getting a job. The economy was trash. I had no reason. I didn't see a job available, nothing. I really was like, well, I'm just going to intern. And one thing that happened in that story is that job presented itself as an internship. Because the department that was hiring me, the person whose job I was taking, his name, Mike Barnes. I will always love Mike. And he came to me, he said, do you want to intern? I said, sure, I intern in your department. I was still ready to serve as an intern. And my promotion was right there waiting for me. You understand? So it's just like having an attitude of humility, of surrender. I don't know how this is going to look. You know, like God, and it just, so it, all of that brought me there. I know. I told you we were going to start talking, and now we don't know how to shut up. But back to your manifestation journal, please.
Oh, I love it. No, I'm happy you told that story because it actually brought up a lot of key things that are incorporated in the book also. But first of all, like 2007, that's like so long ago, and now you're here. So it's like, for people who feel like, oh my God, it takes so long to get to what I want, time flies. And when you do surrender, it's faster than you know it, right? And you said something earlier that is very key and a reason why I wrote this book, not wrote the book, but created the book. You said the vision board comes last and you need to do the work. And this is really crucial because I feel like manifestation requires your part, and that part being deepening your self-awareness, understanding who am I, what have I been through, what am I holding on to, and how could this baggage be getting in the way of my manifestation? And I don't mean that in a bad way. Like, we all have stuff, or we all have blockages. And so a lot of times manifestation methods might not be working because maybe there's something you're holding on to that could be a thought process, that could be even your route to work, that could be your daily routine. There's something that could be blocking that blessing that is just waiting, just waiting for you. And so I actually combined my love and passion for journaling with manifestation. So that's why it's called the Manifestation Journal, because it's a book for you to participate in. So I did author some pages, and if there's some art in there also that I created, but it's also for you to participate in. And so the Manifestation Journal, which is titled Create the Life You Want, which is right here, it uses self-awareness as a tool, or kind of like as a tool, basically, as a vehicle for manifestation to be more effective. So basically, I take the approach of using writing prompts to help you get to know yourself, so that when you are manifesting, you are very clear on what you want, and you have an awareness of what your blockages might be. But most importantly, so that the things that you're manifesting are actually based on your desires and not the desires of popular opinions. A trend that I found, not just in my friends and people around me, but in myself, we would manifest things, put on the vision board, all these really cool things, the big house and the dope career and the relationship and all these really pop culture mainstream ideas of what a meaningful life was, but really you don't even want any of those things. And you're like, why am I not getting all that? Well, have you really asked yourself, what do I want? Who do I actually want to be? Because it's cool to show that vision board and see all these really cool things that everybody could want, that everybody thinks is really cool. So the book really helps you develop a relationship with yourself so that you can fall in love with your version of a meaningful life, but also get to know, who am I really? So the way that I do this is by dividing the journal into 4 chapters. So chapter 1 talks about vision. So I have a narrated page about vision, and then all the writing prompts in that chapter are asking you about the vision you have for your life. Chapter 2 is about confidence. Chapter 2 is about abundance. So again, a narrated page about abundance, and then we have a 7-day gratitude list so that you can attract abundance by practicing gratitude to understand that you are abundant already. So that's the goal with that one. Chapter 3 is about faith, as we just talked about. And then chapter 4 is about confidence. After all those chapters, after you've done some of the work, then that's when you write your vision statement. And so the last few pages of the journal are the pages for you to write a vision statement about your life. And it's not a contract. It's just an idea. And then I offer a sample so that you can see how to incorporate the work that you did in the beginning of the book into a vision statement.
Beautiful, Amber. I love that. And you kind of already answered my next question, because I was just about to ask you on the importance of gratitude. And ask you, you know, I keep a gratitude journal and all these other things, but I want to know about you. And let's talk about the importance about gratitude on the journey, and even keeping a gratitude journal. Do you keep a gratitude journal? And if you don't, do you at least track your progress in some way, you know, towards your goals, your manifestations, your dreams, and your desires?
For sure. I don't have a journal designated to gratitude, but it's part of my like morning journaling. I don't journal every single day. I'll probably say like 3 to 4 times a week, which is almost every day. And it's typically in the morning. So the first thing I do is gratitude, particularly because I have anxiety about my future. As much as excited as I am about it, there is a bit of anxiety about it too, because, you know, I am still struggling with fear of failure. I am still struggling with, what if everything I'm working for doesn't work? Or, you know, sometimes actually I'm in such a good place that I'm scared. When I came to my first apartment, I remember the first morning, I was like, I am so scared of losing this apartment. I am so scared of losing my job, because I didn't know how to feel safe and how to really say, Amber, you're okay, right? And so practicing gratitude really helps calm my anxiety and reminds me like, sis, you are okay. And then even if you do lose your job, you are still gonna be okay, because like yesterday you didn't have a job. So practicing gratitude really keeps me like clear-minded. Oh man. And then it also just feels so good that I cry when I look back at the things I'm grateful for. I just can't help but to just feel so full. And in that, you're actually manifesting more, because you're in the element of abundance when you practice gratitude.
Yeah, because I think when you're in complaining, you're focusing on what you don't have. Gratitude focuses on what you do have. And sometimes my gratitude, I used to keep a legit gratitude journal every day. And I don't necessarily do that anymore, but at night and in the morning, I have a designated prayer time. You know how I am, Amber, with my mornings. I am lethal. I'm like, don't call me, don't text me, because I'm spending time with the good Lord. You know? So in the morning, I wake up and say thank you. That's the first thing. I say good morning. And I say good morning to God, and I say thank you. But one thing that has also worked for me in being grateful, I thank God and I am grateful for the things that didn't happen that day. Because sometimes we're like, oh, this, I'm like, but I could have got into a car accident today. I didn't. Thank you that I did not get into a car accident. Thank you that I did not get a crazy negative medical report. Thank you for the things that didn't happen, because it keeps things in perspective. And what has helped me, and I started this practice, and I don't know if you know if I started this, I did that file. I think I did. I told you about this in summer 2019. And I think it's important for listeners to do that. Listen, every day you're not going to manifest the biggest, every day is not going to be, hey, Oprah called. So on those days where I feel crappy, I have an I did that journal, and it's not even a journal. It's something that I have purposely made a note on my iPhone, because that note goes back to June 2019, where I write down every step I took towards my dreams, my goals, and my manifestations. And when I look back at how far I've come on the journey, it then brings more gratitude, because I'm like, you know what? I may not be where I want to be, but I'm not where I was. I remember back then, I wish I would have had what I have today. And then it's like that sense of peace and calm, because there is a lot of anxiety just going on in the world, period, right? Because of the climate that we're in. So I think it's important to not only be grateful, say what you're grateful for, but keep track of your progress in some tangible form, so that when those thoughts of it's never going to happen, I don't know, oh my gosh, you want to complain, you have something to refer back to. I think that's super important.
Absolutely. And you know something, you can complain and still be grateful. Because let me tell you, like, people hear gratitude and they think like that weird positivity. Like, no one's telling you to be happy about the crappy things that's happening. I will complain. The train was late today and I am mad, but I'm so thankful that I can go to class. Like, it's a silly example, but it is completely okay to have a bad day, to be mad that you didn't get that job, to be upset that, something is taking long. It's okay to feel that way. And there's still room to be grateful. Like, there's no need to sugarcoat things with positivity, because what you feel is completely valid.
Oh my gosh. Let me tell you, my two words to God have been in the last 19 months. God, I am so grateful, but I am also so frustrated. Like, I have said that to God at least 11 times, where I'm like, God, I am 100% grateful, because I know things can be better, but I am also 100% frustrated. Okay. And I think, like you said, it's okay to feel that. And one thing that has helped me in those moments, understanding, like, you know what, God does care about how I feel, right? And you're only hurting yourself by acting like you don't feel that way. To say, like, listen,
Exactly.
I'm disappointed that I lost my job. I'm disappointed that I didn't get into that school, or I didn't get that job, or I didn't get in that opportunity. I deal with disappointment a lot. And there have been a lot of things that I've shot Embrace Her Legacy for, and we didn't get. And I'm like, God, I'm so disappointed. And we also have to understand that disappointment is going to be part of the process, which I've learned. And it's about just like, okay, preparing myself when things may not go the way I expected them to, but still believing that it's still working together for our good. So
for sure. Yep.
I wanna talk about thoughts, because thoughts are forms of manifestations, and this thing between our ears is far more powerful than we think, because everything begins in thought form, right? So and let me just two things that I want to point out. Oprah Winfrey, and it's something that she said, you don't get what you work hard for, you get what you believe. And I am a firm believer in that. And then there's a proverb that says, as a man thinketh, so does he become. So as you think, you become. So your thoughts have words. So tell me, what experience do you have around negative thoughts coming to pass? Or have you ever experienced negative manifestations, and you can track it back to a thought pattern that was not servicing you?
Yeah. First, Yeah, I know you talk about inner saboteurs.
Mhm.
And I call them self-limiting beliefs, like the same idea that like it's like you have two of you, and now one who's like good and straight, she good, and the other one is like, no, something bad's gonna happen. You're just like, oh my freaking gosh.
You want to
So like I
smack her.
said, like I do have anxiety, and I do have anxious thoughts, and I do have negative thoughts, and I used to sugarcoat them and be like, nope, I'm just prepared and I'm thinking about the worst case scenario. But like thinking about the worst case scenario means you're gonna bring waters in your purse, not thinking like, oh my god, I'm gonna get hit by a car today. Like there's a difference between being prepared and thinking like being prepared, and then being like self-sabotaging, and like what you're asking is like manifesting some negativity because of that. I can't think off the top of my head right now of a personal experience, but I do believe that that is true, because like we've been saying this whole time, not only do your thoughts have power, but you're putting yourself in an energy, and manifestation is all about being in alignment. And what energy are you in alignment? You can maybe do a morning meditation and be positive for that second, for those 10 minutes, but what's taking a majority of your day? So if majority of your day is worry, if majority of your day is like thinking anxiously something bad's going to happen, you're constantly in the, and not only is that's like emotionally taxing also, but that's what you will attract. And then you say, dang, I knew that was going to happen. Well, of course you knew it was going to happen because you've been thinking about it all day. And these are things that that often come with some sort of, it comes with anxiety. It also comes with trauma. So get help, because this is something you can get help with. You don't have to do it alone. And it's something that you shouldn't be living with. Like I'm trying to get help on that myself. But I think generally speaking, this has shown up most in my life when it comes to my relationships. So I will manifest, or rather, I think I would stop a manifestation when it comes to love. Like I'm trying to work on being open to that, but I'll think about all the negative things that can happen with the relationship, or maybe this person thinks this about me, or nah, they probably don't like when I say that. So I would create these scenarios I'm going to stop saying that I create them, because no, it's not that I do. There's somewhere in my brain from these experiences that I've had years ago that have lived in my brain and in my body now, that are blocking this manifestation I have for healthy relationships, for relationships where I feel safe enough to be vulnerable and to accept love. And so what will happen is I will find out that person thinks something negative about me or something like that, something bad will happen in the relationship, and I'll say like, yeah, I knew that was going to happen. But then after talking to the person, I would find out that they actually only came to such conclusions because they weren't feeling my energy was open to what they were trying to give me. It would always be some sort of explanation that would come down to I was blocking the love, or I was blocking the relationship. It's not always this simple, and it's, there's a lot other things to consider. But in my experience, it's definitely been with relationships and just not being open to them as much as I want to. It's really hard sometimes. So I hope that answered.
That answer. I'm gonna circle back to that, because it's sabotaging. That's what we do. Yeah. We tend to sabotage things with our thoughts, and we sabotage it before anything. But I just want to talk about the importance of this, and then I'm gonna follow up with the question, because I have had a negative experience, right? I'm gonna talk about the same experience I had around a pair of shoes. Okay, me and shoes. Like when we talk about another manifestation strategy for me is clothing. Like if I buy an article of clothing and I say, I remember when you and I met at the top of summer 2019, I went to Fashion Nova, and Fashion Nova had one of their infamous, like, if you spend $400, you get like $150. So I spent a whole lot of money, not a whole lot. It was like a couple of $100, maybe $200-$300. And I told myself, I'm going to be going on a lot of dates this summer with these outfits. Lo and behold, I did that in like May, and it was not a man in sight. But honey, as soon as that shipment hit my door, it was like boom, 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 boom. So me and clothes have a thing. But I remember I bought a pair of boots, and this is maybe at the top of 2019. And Amber, you know me, you know I am lethal for what I walk around in heels. I have one pair of sneakers that I work out in. So I bought these pair of boots, and I'm not scared to walk trains, buses. You know, I'm in New York. You know New York. You know New York. You've been in New York. You're from New York. You know, we take public transportation everywhere. I am a queen of being in my heels on a bus or a train, wherever. And I bought these pair of boots. And for some reason, I kept getting scared that I was going to mess up these boots. I had no reason to think that. I am lethal. I tell people, listen, I can play ball in my heels. And I just kept feeling this, something, I'm going to mess up these boots. I don't know why. Amber, I kid you not, I wake up one Sunday morning. I had the boots for no more than 3 weeks. I maybe wore them a handful of times. I wake up on Sunday morning, get up and go to church. The boot had literally, it didn't like the heel crack. The boot literally, like the seam of the boot just popped. I said, when did that happen? And immediately when it happened, I said, I knew, like, I felt like I knew I did this to myself. And I felt like God was low-key warning me, like, baby girl, I'm gonna need you to watch what you thinking, okay? Because these thoughts of yours have power for good and bad. Now, fast forward last year, where I ended 2020 again. I was home for Thanksgiving, and I was taking care of Black Friday. I was taking advantage of the Black Friday sales, right? And I was like, oh, I'm going to buy this. I'm going to buy that. And there was a pair of sandals. This is November of 2020. There was a pair of sandals, and I said to myself, I'm going to order these sandals. And next summer, give me about June, July, I'm going to be wearing this with my new man, right? Again, no man in sight, because I was very annoyed with the men, just men in period. I had really focused on my therapy at the time. Bought the shoes, whatever, blah, blah, blah. I don't know when. I remember one day going to see or on a date with, I think it was, I don't know if he was on a date, and I looked at my feet. And it was those shoes, and you know, he and I are together, and you know, that's my man, Boo. Hey, Boo, if you're listening, hey, Boo, you know who you are. that's what the world's gonna get. And I had those shoes on he and I's first date. I had those shoes on a couple of dates that, like, and he loves those shoes. Like, he was like, yo, those shoes is hot, and I didn't even think that, you know, like, I didn't put two and two together until months later. I said, holy smokes, I definitely said that I would wear these shoes. So it's just like, your thoughts are powerful. I had a pair of shoes that I ripped and messed up, and I had a pair of shoes that were able to, like, manifest what I really want in my life. And what you said something, that some of this is previous trauma, girl, my heart, right? So I want to know, and can we talk to the importance of making sure we heal the inner, and we do the inner work to heal from previous trauma and wounds, to assure that we're actually ready for what it is that we say we desire and what it is that we say we want to manifest.
I mean, it's not just that it's important, it's like inevitable. Like, and it's not to say it's your fault. Like, nothing that happened to you is your fault, but now it's your responsibility to release those blockages for you, right? And yes, what's meant for you is meant for you and won't miss you, but it will always be waiting until you are ready, right? So if you're not ready, it will be there, you know, which is great for me. I take that idea to allow myself to take my time, because in the healing process, you know, there is no time frame, right? And so I take the idea that it'll be waiting for me when I'm ready, and just so I can really take my time and say, like, okay, it's probably not going to be this year, maybe it's next year, but whatever is waiting for me will be there also. But But with that being said, you do have to be an active participant in it, and don't be afraid, but if you are afraid to address them, do it anyway. Like, that's what courage is. It's like, it's scary and you're going to do it, because hiding it in the back of your mind, it's not gone. And unfortunately, it will sabotage your opportunities that you try to, walk into. And it's not your fault. It's just this thing that exists. And until you address it, it's really going to get in the way of like a pile of blessings and beautiful opportunities that, we're talking about them as if they're somewhere else, but really they're often around you already. If we're going to talk about love and relationships, the work that I've done so far has made me realize how many people were ready to love me, right next door, right across campus, who wanted to be best friends with me, who saw me, and I just couldn't see them because of what I was dealing with. And so I thought of it as this foreign concept later in a few years, but they were right there, there's ways that you can get help. But for me, something I've been trying to figure out is how can I also help myself next to therapy? Because sometimes therapy isn't accessible. I've been jumping out to so many different therapists trying to find the right one. And in the meantime, life is still happening, and I have to work on that trauma. And so that's why journaling helps, but not just to write, but investigating, spending time and just sitting in silence and just thinking and, meditating on those thoughts, trying to understand them, reading. Right now I'm reading Oprah Winfrey. That's my auntie. I'm reading Oprah Winfrey and Dr. Bruce Perry, What Happened to You? And it's about trauma. And so I'm doing these different things. Reading this book is also helping me understand myself. So it's not just going to therapy, but it's the collaboration of that and so many other lifestyle practices that can help. Like, I'm not an expert on trauma now. I'm just speaking out of like what I've been doing, what works for me. Yeah. And in this past year, specifically the past 2 months, so much of that has come up right in my face and just like, hello, I'm here. In case you forgot about me, like things from when I was 8.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at them and I look at the things I'm trying to manifest, and I'm like, I can't get to this thing until I deal with this, because in some way they're connected. The relationships I want are connected to the poor dynamic I had at home. And as much as I want to manifest this beautiful friendship and family, how can I do that if I don't know how to love? Like, so I'm dealing with that right now.
We all are. And I love how you said how you're not an expert on trauma. None of us are, right? I think that is important to understand the importance of timing when it comes to healing from trauma. Some people are just not ready to do the work, and that's just what it is, right? Yep. And not you right have to recognize that in other people so you can save your own sanity. Like, I'm not even going to try and help her right now because they're not ready to do the work. But for me in healing with trauma, and like I said, in November of 2020 was traumatic for all of us, right? And it brought up a lot of stuff from my childhood that I thought that I had dealt with. And I started to pay attention to that still small voice, which I know is the Lord God telling me, chill. You understand? You need to deal with this. And it started getting so bad that I was like, all right, I need a therapy. And I had already said I was going to go and do some therapy. And it's funny because I feel like that therapy came at a time where I was ready to deal with it. Like, it's like, okay. And not only was I ready to deal with it, I was at a point that I was like, this will not be passed down to my children. Like, this is not it. This stops with me, this dysfunction. And all of us grew up in some level of dysfunction, right? It stops with me. And I went to therapy for that. And it brought up, I didn't realize how it was affecting other parts of my life, right? Mm-hmm. So I say that all to say is that when you said something at the beginning, you said it's right there, but something inside of you is blocking it. I believe that time, I knew it. Like, you got to pay attention to that thing that tells you you're not supposed to. I remember saying, I don't think I'm supposed, I knew that I wasn't supposed to be dating, like around October, November, this time last year. I felt like I was like, you need, just focus on you. And I knew that it was going to be up until my birthday. I don't know how, I just knew. And I paid attention to that voice, and I did the therapy, and I started like doing the work and doing the work. So I say that to say, and then once that happened and I started, dating again and blah, 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 I realized why. I said, if I didn't go to know, thank my therapist, I love her. If I didn't have her, I would not be able to be in this relationship right now. Like, if I didn't go through that with her, and she wasn't helping me and coaching me, and I didn't even go to therapy for love relationship. I was like, I got issues from my childhood. They just don't got nothing to do with love and marriage. And I noticed how everything was working like in order according to a divine timing, and I had to do that, and I had to do the work, and I had to heal. And I make it, my therapist is, I still see her, every 2 weeks, me and her are like Cheech and Chong. But then I love how you said, it's not just, I don't just wait for her. Like, it's a daily practice, it's a daily effort, it's a daily saying, okay, what is this I'm feeling, and giving it a name, and doing the work. I love me some Brene Brown and all these other books that I say, but I say that all to say that you have to focus on, when it comes to healing from past trauma, and maybe that's what's blocking you, there's a time to heal. Oh, don't we remember that?
My laptop is going to die. Let me plug her in real quick. Yes.
I'm going to keep talking, but listeners, there is indeed a time to heal. And a time to focus on healing from your previous wounds and traumas. Now, speaking of divine timing, how do you remember to stay in your lane and not get jealous when you see other people manifesting and winning, and you feel like a loser in your corner eating your chips at night?
But this is why everything comes together. This question brings everything together. I love it because, like we've been saying this whole time, the title of this whole session is manifestation your way. But in order to figure out what your way is, you have to have a sense of awareness of self. In order to do that, there's some work that's involved. And in doing this, you'll have a more effective manifestation practice, right? And so it comes to a point when you look at your friend, it comes to a point of your self-awareness journey that seeing your friends or people you don't even know having their, seeing the fruits of their labor, seeing the end of their manifestation come to reality, you're like happy and you're excited and you're like, that's dope for them because I know I have something else. Now, something better, something different, something else. And I think that just comes with emotional maturity. But I'll also say that jealousy is completely natural and normal, and it's okay. I get jealous when my friends go out without me. I get jealous. I start to think about, people who also want the same things that I want. And what if they get it first? Those like things come up. It's a natural emotion. So suppressing it is just impractical. It's about what you do with that jealous thought and nipping it in the bud, as my mom likes to say. Nip it in the bud when it happens and don't allow it to transfer into any actions that you're going to regret. So that's like, it's there and then it'll go away. And I think with more emotional maturity, you'll get better at nipping it in the bud, and it'll come up just less often. Something for me too, gratitude helps with dealing with my jealousy, because when I have my list of gratitude, I'm like, why am I jealous of what you got when I have stuff too? Not better, not worse, just other things that are shared. And when I think about gratitude and filling up with abundance, when you come to this mindset that there is an abundance of opportunity of things in this world, it also helps mitigate jealousy because you're like, there's enough for all of us because abundance is in me. And so whatever opportunity you have, I can also make other opportunities happen, X, Y, and Z. But to the question of divine timing, I love to say that divine timing saves us from ourselves. Because if we got what we wanted when we wanted it, boy, boy. I think divine timing has actually been my experience all of 2020 and 2021. Yeah, it protected me from myself because in hindsight, you're like, oh, wow, that came exactly when I needed it. Okay. And so what it requires is a bit of patience. And I hate that word. I'm the most impatient person I know. Patience is so freaking hard, but it's like literally the only thing you can do when it comes to divine timing. But I will say that it's easy to be patient when you're comfortable, right? And it's hard to be patient when you're in an uncomfortable situation, right? So like, of course, it's easy to be patient about that paycheck when I have some money to work with. But when I don't got no money, how am I gonna be patient? Right? Like, think about when you're waiting for a friend and they're gonna be late and it's like sunny outside, like, girl, take your time. But if it's raining, you're like, I need you to come right now because it's raining. I'm sitting outside in this rain, right? So it's easy to say, just be patient, but you sabotage things when you try to interfere. As you were saying earlier, like, you're going to sabotage, surrender, distract yourself with some other things, go to that gratitude list, because when it comes, whatever it is, oh, it was exactly when you needed it. If we're going to talk about like money, for example, when it came to my experience last year, the money that I had been waiting for came the week before my flight to Europe. Wow. And if I had gotten it when I wanted it, what would have happened throughout summer? Throughout the summer, I would have been, I'm going to save. No, you're not, honey. And it was interesting because, and there's something I talk about in the manifestation journal, even when I didn't have what I wanted, I always had enough. I always ate. I always had a pillow to sleep on. Probably wasn't the most comfortable bed, but I was sleeping, right? And so then when that grand old house that I want, whatever it is, does come, it's like, you know what? You can appreciate them so much more because divine timing will never let you down. And I know that sounds super cheesy, but like when you've experienced it, you know what I'm talking about.
I love how you said, I never missed anything. Like, you understand, like, it may not have been the most comfortable bed. It may not have been all the food I wanted to eat, but I really didn't miss anything. And I love divine timing. I think for one thing that's worked for me with the whole jealousy thing is when I've changed my focus to say, God, if you're doing it for them, that means it's getting closer to me. Like, that's how I see it. Like, I'm like, oh, my homegirl just got that opportunity. All right, bet. That means my opportunity is getting closer, you know? Like, and I think sometimes we're also being tested to see how we're going to react if somebody around you, close to you on social, whatever, is getting exactly what you want. It's like a test of character to say, all right, are you going to celebrate that person, or are you going to be, you know, upset and stay in your envy, right? So I think thinking, I love how you said that thought of abundance, like there's more than enough for everyone. Like, you know, God ain't out here being cheap on blessings. So it's just like, for me, it's been really focused on that, and also understanding that that divine timing, oh my gosh, it's like certain things that we say we want and we say we're ready for, we're just not. And oftentimes, and like, I love how you said that divine timing is you being protected from yourself, right? Because I always say, God, the rejection is God's protection, because God be like, if I give that, no, not now. I know what's coming in 3 months, and you're going to need that better more in 3 months. So I really love that. And that actually, which leads me to my next questions was like, how do you deal, let's say you have been disappointed in the area that you really are believing for. Maybe it's a job, right? Right now, people are jobs, right? Girl, it's a lot going on, right? So maybe it's a job, like you keep applying for jobs, you keep getting rejection. You know, you keep applying for schools, you keep getting rejection. You're trying to buy the house or get the apartment, you keep getting rejected. Just places that you've just been disappointed, whether it's relationally, financially, career wise. How do you still believe for good things to happen?
Because I have a whole like stock shelf full of other experiences where great things happened. Like, oh my gosh, how I laugh at myself if I dare say like nothing is ever good's gonna happen. Like, are you crazy? This is where that gratitude list comes in handy, man, because I have a whole evidence of amazing things. So like it's kind of like a no-brainer. Of course, great things probably aren't gonna happen like consecutively. Like, yeah, sometimes that happens where it's like it's just been a great week, boom, 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 bow. But this is also about life, like keeping you humble. Like you're not gonna have like a whole like winning streak all month. So I have having this stock shelf full of amazing things that has happened, especially things that I gotta say, like, I didn't even really work for that. And this is what I got, like things I've landed in my lap, right? Like when I see those, especially, I'm just like, oh, I'm good. I'm straight. I'm going to be okay. Just again, the gratitude list. I mean, I've had times in my childhood where we didn't know how we were going to eat. Like literally we had no money and we figured it out, and it wasn't the best situation to be in. And you shouldn't always have to figure it out when it comes to that stuff. But I'm here now and I am eating. And so the fact that I survived that, I'm like, I'm protected, I'm okay. But when it comes to like opportunities, I gotta say I'm a very ambitious person and I go after, like, I really do like strive for the stars. I've made it my business when it comes to social media specifically to post when I don't get things, because there is an illusion that people have that your friends who are like, you know, superstars are always getting. I'm like, no, that's not true. I'm just going to show you the cool things. But matter of fact, let me show you the time I got all those rejections, because like, duh, of course you're going to get them. So I don't know, just reminding myself and my friends and my family, like, yo, I'm human. Like things are just not meant for me. And a lot of times with my jobs, I've seen later on, I'm like, that wasn't even the company that I should have been working for. It sounds like a broken record, like we've heard this story before, but it's true. You will end up where you're supposed to. So yeah, taking stock of the blessings and then realizing like where I'm going to end up is exactly where I should be. With jobs specifically, the one that I got before I came to Amsterdam. Before I came to Amsterdam, I was like on LinkedIn every day, sending in resumes, and I got rejected from maybe like 20 of them. And at one point I was like, oh my God, this is really annoying. But then the internship that I landed, I am so happy I met those people, and they're such a special group. This group of folks would not have been at any of those other jobs. Like they are more than just people who I was interning for. They trained me in a personal way, like woman to woman, like I'm gonna give you these little keys that no one else gonna tell you, like, you know. Yeah, it was where Amber needed to be. So man, just looking back at my stock of great things, I'm like, I'm good.
I love the stock of great things. And I just want to encourage anyone listening, trust and believe we all have down days. And most of our lives are normal. Like I said, every day is not, you're going to get the call from Oprah, right?
No.
Most of the days is like, get up, do the work, have some ups, have some downs, go to sleep and do it again. Like, you understand? Like that's what day to day is. And unfortunately, because we live in a social media world where we see everyone post their wins, we think that other people aren't going through it. And I love, Amber, how you said I post my like the days I get, you know, I feel disappointed, or my losses, however you want to put them, to let people know and to encourage people that you're not alone. And trust and believe, like I have heard more no's in the last 6 weeks than I think I've heard in all of 2021. And I'm over here like, okay, you got it. Like you got to keep pushing, and trusting that, I know it sounds so cliche, but trusting that what's for you won't miss you. And I have surrendered to God's love for me. I'm like, God, you love me. I know you love me. I'm going to surrender to your love for me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. It hurts, but I'm going to surrender to the fact that I know and believe that you love me. So even the no's are a part of your love. Even when I don't get that, for in some way, it's part of your love. And I know that it's working together for me for good in the end. Right. And with that being said, I would love for us to close out with the reading of an excerpt from your manifestation journal.
Yes, actually, it was a perfect landing because I want to read from the faith chapter, since we're talking about manifestation requiring a deep sense of belief. Before the vision statement exercise is the faith chapter, because you just wrote about all your beautiful dreams, but then it is going to come that you're feeling insecure. So I put the faith at the end. So this is the art. So for people watching the video version of it, this is the character for Faith. So what I love about this one is she has basically in the dark, but she has this glowing ray of life, basically the plants on her back. And that means that she's confident in going into this dark, path that she's on, because she's protected. And I think that's what faith is about. So the narrations are actually in first person, so it's kind of like you're getting a insight into my journals. So it's like you're journaling with me. So faith. Creating the life I want started with a leap of faith during the summer of 2020. After graduating from Trinity College, I had an extreme motivation to prioritize my spiritual, mental, and emotional development. Unfortunately, my environment at the time did not support my journey. There was no space for me to let my bags down, unpack my burdens, and dissect them. I did not have a strong family unit or a stable place to call home. New York City felt extremely chaotic and anxiety-inducing. My relationship with my sister, whom I was living with at the time, was very unhealthy, and this had an impact on my nephew. The most important thing for me at this time was being in a place where I felt stable and safe. I decided that leaving New York was the best thing to do, but where was I to go? The last place I felt safe enough to be vulnerable was Amsterdam. And so that was it. I decided that I would move to Amsterdam and start building my life from there. But the big question was, how the hell was I going to make this happen all on my own? My task was walking through that door even though I couldn't see anything. Faith is walking through the dark with complete confidence that you will find your way. And to read more of this narration, you have to purchase the journal. So,
and tell them where to purchase it, honey.
So currently the journal is not available for purchase. We had our pre-launch in August, and the book officially launches at the end of next month in November. So if you follow me on social, then you will get the details for the book, because the website for the book is through my publisher. So blurb.com. Blurb are the folks who print the book and ship the book. So that is where you purchase the book itself. So once it is mounted on their website, I will announce it on my personal website and on my Instagram and the Facebook. So the best way to stay up to date on the Manifestation Journal is to follow me on Instagram at amberparis.montalvo, or follow the Facebook page for the journal, which is Create the Life You Want. So by following those two pages, then you will get the announcement when it officially launches in November.
I am so darn proud of you, Amber. Okay, I am not gonna cry for the people to hear, but I'm over here like, I am proud of you. I am proud for taking that leap of faith. I am proud of you, right? You will always have a cheerleader in me, and I am grateful to just have you on this platform and to really have you as a part of my journey. You were answered prayer like an answered prayer. And I told you that before and I'll reiterate it again. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me about manifestation. And y'all heard Amber. Amber said, follow her at amberparis.montalvo. I love that. And you can follow the Facebook page, and it's called Create the Life You Want.
Yes.
Right. So follow her there. We're going to make sure to put the links to the Facebook and her tag on whatever platform you're listening or watching this. Just look below and she'll be tagged. Thank you so much, Amber. This is great. This is great. To my listeners or watchers or viewers, thank you for rocking out with me. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you are here with me. So thank you so much. Until next time, always be a woman who embraces her legacy. Share, subscribe, get the journal, write it down, make the vision plain, and let's really toast to celebrating victory in the areas that we have felt so defeated. Until next time, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you for tuning in to the Embrace Her Legacy podcast. If you enjoyed this podcast episode, please make sure to subscribe and visit embraceherlegacy.com to make a donation or sign up to become a part of our community of volunteers and supporters, the Embrace Her Legacy Collective. Make sure you follow us at Embrace Her Legacy to get daily inspiration and join our movement. Thank you for listening, and remember, you're enough, you're worthy, and you're a phenomenal woman who embraces her legacy.